Okay, well, another video so quickly, yes. I imagine I'm going to be doing this quite frequently here now. Uh, Roy Potter in front of a Christmas tree. I know that's really different. Hey, the spirit of the season is still worthwhile, even though it's based on a pagan holiday. The idea of being with friends and family and spending this time together. So, as far as that goes, I'm in. All right, so Merry Christmas to everybody. This, of course, is to family and friends. I try to do this every year. And I'll talk about a couple of things today, of course. I can't let that pass by. Despite my understanding of history, most of you that my PhD is in history and that my area of emphasis was the first century. I still believe that there is a person who, for the sake of his family, not only his ancestors but his descendants, did something special. And if you look at any man who really loves his family, this tears me up a little bit. He's going to do the best that he can with what he has. So, sorry, I don't do this normally. I had a special relationship with this person, and so I know what I'm talking about. So we go through a lot of trials and tribulations, and hey, use it as your school. That's what he did, and that's what every good person does. Do good despite the evil that's done against you. Oh, protect yourself, sure, but I'm very fond of saying that this guy faced more contradictions in his life than any of the rest of us. I don't know if that's entirely true, but it's certainly true that he went through that, and he did so without compromising the true principles. Oh, he learned, of course, I'm sure. Pardon me for a minute. But, if I were a father and I wanted to, and of course I am, I have 11 children, okay? Merry Christmas to all of them. I'm not embarrassed about that. People from California really don't like you saying you have 11 kids. More often than not, I've been told off because of that. How I got the 11 kids, they don't seem to care too much, but like the rest of the people in Utah. But yeah, 11 kids, all wonderful. I love all of them. So Merry Christmas to all you guys. As I was saying, this guy was faced with more contradictions than anybody else. And a father expects that his sons and his daughters will, do better than he did. And there's a scripture that says that, Jesus says, greater things will you do than I have done. And everybody goes, well, how is that? Well, it's the wish of a father that they will excel. I'm not sure that it was a prophecy as much as it was an instruction. But at any rate, so he was faced with all these contradictions. And what do they do to us? Well, they make us look at the good side and the bad side, the dark and the light. And it's for our experience. I had one of my sons here the other day, and you know who you are, say, why am I going through all this? Why am I learning these things? Why am I having these special dreams? And my morals when I was younger were so bad. Hey, young man, it's for your experience. And I know we had some difficulties during that time, but you know what I was concerned about. So you're headed down that road now, and where you recognize those things, they were for your experience and your wisdom and your understanding. And my oldest son, same thing, actually all my kids, my middle son, or actually my last son, all my daughters, they're pretty special people. They've been through a lot. They stand head and shoulders above so many others. And I don't mean that as a brag. I mean that as the way they want to search for the truth. So again, you have my love and my appreciation. Okay, let's get back to some history. And I just mentioned this. This guy Jesus, who was he? Well, you've seen my videos before. You know what I'm talking about here. Let me just say this real quick. A lot of people don't understand the world right now. I don't either, but I look at it from a slightly different perspective. You know, the throne of David still exists. It's right at the moment. People have usurped it that don't deserve it. They are actually from the house of Dracul, if you want to call it that way. They're from Eastern Europe. They are not Anglo-Saxons. They are not British. They are usurpers of the British throne, and they have no right to be there, but they have the power, sort of like, you know, whoever has the ring, you know, has the power. It's that kind of a thing. That story had, the Lord of the Rings had some truth to it. So these people are controlling this throne, and they are not who they say they are. But because of the circumstances that surround that, they are wielding power. Now let me point out a couple things here real quick. We fought a revolutionary war to obtain a Bill of Rights and a constitution that gave individual liberty to the individual, and a representative form of government that would protect us. Not a democracy, but a Republican form of government, as I've said before, not the Republican Party. Okay. We did that for a number of reasons, and there's more to it than just the Boston Tea Party and the fact that they were coming for the guns in Lexington, the British, I mean. There were a lot of things there, but there were also some hidden things going on in the past, which I'm not going to go into here, other than to say that there was always a good side to something and a bad side to something. And there was this Masonic tug of war in that period of time. Well, you know, look at this. The British didn't want us to separate then. The War of 1812, they tried to take us back again. If it wasn't for Andrew Jackson, they would have. And a lot of people don't understand the Civil War. I don't like Lincoln, okay? I think most of you know that Lincoln and I would have a real problem because he was not truly a constitutionalist, but I'm not going to get into that argument right now. What I will say is this: he was put in a very bad situation. The war wasn't about slavery. Sorry, guys, it wasn't. It was about commerce, the right to commerce, especially in the southern states. They were shipping their cotton to Britain, and the North didn't like it, and so they blockaded them. Now, I'm not foolish enough to think that that's the only score. Okay, there was something else going on, and the British are back in it again. The British intelligence at that time, the British monarchy and their apparatus, saw an opportunity to divide the states. In other words, to try to take back the colonies. That's the point, okay? So they pushed this, and I'm not saying that the Confederate States were wrong in their desire to have their freedom. That's not the issue here. That's for another day, and we can talk about that in detail. The point is that the British got involved, and they were hoping to take back the colonies again. So Lincoln had a tough choice there. I don't like the way he decided to do it. I wouldn't have done it that way. And I hold him accountable for the death and destruction that occurred because of that. If he had been honest about it, that would have been the way to go. But you know, truth is stranger than fiction, and politicians will lie when the truth would serve them better. That's always been the case. And I could take you through history and show you that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Hey, guess what? They didn't stop after the Civil War. It continued on. The British banking industry started the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 to take over our banking system. And worse than that, to subjugate our citizens. And that's not the end. Things continued on through, even to today. Okay? And we are now back under their control. And I won't go into that right here now, but if you look at all of my videos and all the things that I've talked about, you'll kind of see where that's coming from. The city of London is not even a British subject country, city. It's actually a separate country, a separate political entity, just like the Vatican is. Okay? So they answer to nobody, and this is really, really bad what's happening right now. Okay, so the point that I'm making there is that the people that are sitting on David's throne, which is by all accounts, the throne that Jesus should inherit, or his descendants, it's been usurped by those who call themselves Jews but are not. Okay, let's go onward. That's enough about that. I wanted to make one more issue here. You know, I always bring something more up about current situations, and I neglected to say something in my last video that's extremely important. Benghazi, Libya, had a big place in the news here a little bit ago, and most people still don't know what happened there. Our government lies to us again. They lie to you when the truth would serve them better, although they're masters at it. These guys have been doing this for so long, you can't trust a thing they do. We already know that Obama, of course, was not in a situation room when this thing went down. We also know that the military was ordered to stand down and not to come to the rescue of these people under some supposed thing. We don't dedicate troops to a situation we don't understand. That's hogwash. That's absolute hogwash for Panetta to say that. But regardless of that, the point is something was going on there, and this is what it was. Okay, the ambassador there actually found out what was going on. He objected to it, and what was occurring is, of course, the shipment of arms to Al-Qaeda representatives in Syria, Turkey actually at that point, and other places. They're in Libya, of course. They were in Libya. They're going to ship these things. These are surface-to-air shoulder-held missiles. Very dangerous. Thousands of them. The CIA supposedly was in there in this outpost trying to get these missiles back. I doubt that seriously. Maybe the operators thought that, but the real issue was to get these things further spread into the hands of Al-Qaeda. And you have to understand full spectrum dominance. I'm not going to go into that right now. You have to understand that there are no sides in this thing, okay? That's all smoke and mirrors. There's one side, and they're controlling all the sides, okay? I'll just say it like this. Those missiles are going, like the suitcase news I talked about the other video, these missiles are going to show up, and they're going to pretend like they don't know where they came from. Our government gave them to Al-Qaeda. And again, Al-Qaeda is not a real organization. But for the sake of definition right now, for the type of people we're talking about, I'll just say that. Al-Qaeda is controlled by our intelligence services. Okay? Regardless of that, they're going to have these missiles. And they're going to show up in different areas of the world, particularly Western Europe and here. I don't know when that's going to happen. Okay, but it is going to happen. Civilian airliners are going to be shot out of the sky on landing and takeoff using these missiles that we gave them. Just like the gas we gave Iraq, they used on the Kurds. Now, by the way, the gas was no good by the time we went to war with them, supposedly with these WMDs. It's a non-persistent agent. It was already no good. But despite all of that, the point is our government, like in Fast and Furious, giving those arms to the cartels and causing all that grief in Mexico. Do you realize almost 50,000 people have been killed in that war? Yes, it is an insurgency, and my documentary Borders explains why that's the case. Okay, so these things are going to show up, and then they're going to use that saying, as a commentator here said not too long ago, they're going to use that as another reason to clamp down on our liberties and freedoms, even though they're the ones, the government intelligence services and the military-industrial complex, are making sure that these rebels, these Syrian and Libyan Al-Qaeda representatives, who they've put in power, and yet we're fighting here. You know, there's a law that says you can't support terrorists, right? Our government supports terrorists. They violate their own law. They can do whatever they want. No, this is all out of control. You can tell I get really passionate about this. All right, so what I'm saying is at some point in time, these things are going to show up and airplanes are going to come out of the sky. Look, I love my family, I love my friends, and I know you put all this stuff off. Well, it won't happen this time. It won't happen this time. Be on your guard. There's no way you can stop this. You're not driving the airplane. Not to mention the groping and the sexual misconduct that the TSA does to us. There's mortal danger, okay? I'm not sure when this is going to happen, But at this point forward, I would say it's probably best not to fly. All right? There are thousands of these things. They can literally shoot thousands of these out of the air. And our southern border is wide open. I proved that in the Borders documentary. I don't care what the Department of Homeland Security tells you. I don't care what the Border Patrol tells you. It is not a secure border by any means, okay? They will come across there or from the sea. All right. So, Merry Christmas, of course, and then all this serious stuff, but I had to cover all that as quickly as I could. Thank you for putting up with me. It's only because I really do honestly have a love for people. I will publicly say I am sorry that I donned the uniform of this country. I did so because I thought I could fix things. All young people think that. But the evil is too deep. Okay, it's way too deep. So I regret that I did that. Some people lost their lives because of me being in this uniform. And I regret that to this day. But I'm trying to make amends for that. Okay? Love you all. Have a great Christmas. Bye.